royal family mired in one of its biggest crises in history.
Prince Harry, Meghan Markle and their children could be set to lose their royal titles and when Prince William becomes monarch.
Prince William now winning this huge battle with his father King Charles for there to be an Act of Parliament introduced at Westminster to jettison not just Prince Andrew, Beatrice and Eugenie, but also Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, Archie and Lily once and for all.
The palace just pulled its boldest move yet, and this time, Prince Harry might be running out of chances. Reports flooding in from London overnight reveal that senior royal officials have officially begun discussions to strip Harry of his titles. This isn't just gossip. This would mark the first time in over a century that a monarch has taken such a brutal step against their own family. But here's where it gets even crazier. Instead of staying silent or brushing it off, Prince Harry has reportedly jumped on a private jet and is racing back to the United Kingdom as we speak. Insiders say this isn't some scheduled royal visit. It's a desperate, last-minute intervention. He's not flying home for photos or formalities. He's coming to stop something big before it becomes irreversible. For months, quiet murmurs about a royal crackdown have been echoing through Buckingham Palace halls. But now, those whispers are turning into action.
But if you thought the Prince Andrew scandal was the end of the changes that are coming under King William V, let me tell you, you are wrong.
Sources close to the palace claim that the shift began the moment Prince William started stepping into his father's role during King Charles's ongoing treatment. Ever since then, a silent reshaping of royal power has been unfolding behind those heavily guarded gates, one that could redefine the monarchy itself. What's happening isn't just a family dispute. It's a power war dressed in royal silence. And the fact that Harry's already flying home tells us one thing. The clock is ticking fast, and this time, he knows the palace isn't bluffing. One move could change everything, not just for the royals, but for what royalty even means anymore. And right in the middle of this storm stands the king's own son, desperate to protect the titles that built his family's legacy, yet branded and betrayed by the very institution that once crowned him. But the question on everyone's lips, why now? Who's really calling the shots behind this shocking operation? Is it the ailing king clinging to control, the calculating heir tightening his grip, or the royal machine itself quietly purging its weakest link?
King Charles and Prince William still believe Meghan Markle is a bigger threat to the royal family than Prince Andrew.
Because if the rumors are true, the monarchy isn't just bracing for another scandal. It's on the brink of an all-out royal civil war, a war of blood versus crown. And Prince Harry's frantic race to London could be the final desperate attempt to stop it. The year is 2025, and the air around Buckingham Palace feels heavier than gold, thick with tension, not ceremony. The grand gates that once opened for parades now hide uneasy silence. Inside, King Charles fights through illness, stepping back from the daily pulse of royal life. In his place, Prince William has stepped forward, sharp, controlled, and fiercely loyal to the crown. He's moving with precision, making decisions that could rewrite royal history. And as this quiet storm builds, one familiar name echoes through the marble halls once more. Harry, the self-exiled prince turned global rebel.
My sources say there is a growing feeling within Buckingham Palace that Prince William is winning the argument and that Charles may have to take a political stance on that matter.
Once adored as the brave soldier of the people, he now stands alone, armed not with troops, but with cameras, contracts, and chaos. Every Netflix special, every explosive interview, every sly accusation, all of it has been slicing away at the dignity the crown desperately tries to preserve. And right there beside him stands Meghan, the woman who swapped royal corridors for Hollywood contracts and traded duty for dazzling self-promotion. Behind the cameras, whispers say her latest project, a luxury beauty empire inspired by royal elegance, is ruffling serious feathers in London's power circles. To the palace, this isn't ambition. It's betrayal dressed as business. What they see isn't entrepreneurship, but a full-blown exploitation of royal prestige for personal gain. Every new deal, every glossy partnership looks less like independence and more like a cash grab off the very titles they claim to reject. Inside Buckingham Palace, patience has hit its breaking point. Senior courtiers are quietly saying that Prince William now views the Sussexes not as family, but as a brand contaminant, a ticking PR bomb threatening the monarchy's global image.
William knows that it is unpalatable for the British monarchy to keep this disastrous couple in the mix when it comes to Andrew and Fergie, but also to have Harry and Meghan constantly dragging down the brand. Both couples are an issue.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that Harry and Meghan should be cut out.
No one's asking if action will be taken anymore. They're asking when. And the timing couldn't be more strategic. As the king's strength fades, William's authority rises, and with it, his icy resolve to protect the firm at any cost. Because in this new royal order, forgiveness isn't compassion, it's weakness. And William isn't about to let weakness define the crown ever again. If forgiveness is weakness, then Harry's sudden return isn't about healing. It's a full-blown reckoning. What started as a fairy tale has spiraled into one of the most public power struggles the royal family has ever faced. At first, the story was picture perfect. A British prince falls for an American actress, and for a fleeting moment, the monarchy looked modern again. Their wedding felt like history, a global spectacle wrapped in love, unity, and a touch of rebellion. Cameras caught smiles that felt genuine, not strategic. The world saw a love story, and the palace dared to hope for a new beginning. But under the blinding glare of royal reality, even the brightest fairy tales start to crack. By 2020, the Sussexes had packed their designer bags, stepped off palace grounds, and declared their new mission: freedom. No courtiers, no crowns, no restrictions. Just Harry and Meghan rewriting the script on their own terms. But what looked like independence soon began to look like a business plan. Freedom turned into a franchise. The couple built an entire media empire out of palace memories.
This is so ridiculous, and what O'Brien said about him being a military hero is as ridiculous as when Harry got that award for being a hero of flight. I just about fell off my chair when I heard that, a hero of flight.
Podcasts dissecting privilege, documentaries rewriting royal history, and interviews that felt less like truth and more like revenge wrapped in charm. What began as reinvention morphed into domination. And now, the empire they built on royal shadows might be the very thing bringing the crown to its knees. Every private slight turned into a screaming headline, and every headline became a paycheck. The couple who once begged the world for privacy were now producing it like a Netflix special. Their pain became primetime entertainment. And the more Harry spoke of healing, the deeper the wounds reopened, slicing straight through the monarchy's fragile image. What should have been reconciliation became spectacle. Every exclusive interview felt like a public trial, every accusation another hammer hitting the royal facade. The palace's picture-perfect illusion started to shatter piece by piece, and this time, the world was watching the cracks form live. Meanwhile, across London, Prince William watched the headlines twist like daggers, not just against Harry, but against the monarchy itself.
Prince William knows that it's not just Andrew and Sarah and Beatrice and Eugenie which need to be dealt with. It's Harry, Meghan, Archie and Lily too. And he wants his father to be tougher. I think that has to happen. I really, really do, Lee.
Every newspaper questioning the crown's compassion or its relevance in a modern world turned into fuel for royal critics and anti-monarchists across the globe. The brand that once symbolized dignity was now being dragged through digital mud. For months, Buckingham Palace clung to silence, praying time would calm the storm. But silence didn't save them. It made things worse. The louder the Sussexes spoke, the more the monarchy bled. Each confession chipped away at centuries of royal control. And somewhere between the late-night interviews, podcast confessions, and streaming deals, the public stopped asking why Harry left and started wondering what he'd ruin next. Because in the end, it wasn't exile that transformed him. It was the tension, the fame, and the realization that for the first time ever, the rebel prince might hold more power than the crown itself. It began quietly, just whispers in Parliament, a casual line buried deep in a Sunday paper about new legislation that could strip royal titles by vote. At first, it sounded like fantasy. Then came the draft documents, the closed-door meetings, and the unmistakable message. The monarchy was about to clean house. Everyone assumed Prince Andrew was the target, the perfect scapegoat. But insiders say William's secret list didn't stop there. The second name? His own brother. For years, Harry preached about distance from royal life, insisting he didn't want the crown's shadow over him. But the moment that distance started hurting his brand, everything changed. Suddenly, he was the prince again, giving interviews, flying private, and cashing in on the royal tag whenever the cameras were rolling. While William was buried in duty and state work, Harry was buried in documentaries and deals. Meghan, ever the strategist, used every spotlight like a sales pitch.
It's such a joke, Dan. Here, Harry and Meghan are getting awards for being humanitarians. And humanitarians don't treat family like that. They don't betray their country like that.
Royal nostalgia turned into marketable content. Her rumored royal-inspired business ventures blurred the line between heritage and hustle, sparking outrage across the establishment. To the palace, this wasn't ambition. It was opportunism dipped in gold. Behind those palace walls, advisors began collecting data, and the results were brutal. Polls showed the Sussexes' popularity had fallen below even that of scandal-stained Prince Andrew. That revelation hit like a thunderclap. It proved what the royals had feared all along. The couple who preached moral superiority had lost the moral crowd. And yet, as the criticism exploded, Harry doubled down. He began painting himself as both victim and hero, trapped in a system he claimed to despise but couldn't stop exploiting. The contradiction became impossible to ignore. A man demanding respect from the very institution he's been tearing apart for years. The palace sees it as hypocrisy. The public, they're starting to see it too. But here's where things take a sharp, unexpected turn.
I mean, this is nonsense. They hate it. They didn't like the royal family. They left 5-6 years ago now because they hated it all. Okay, go away. The Queen wished them well, but that's not good enough. What they want is to keep on nagging, to keep on making things difficult for anyone who's royal.
The palace isn't reacting anymore. It's planning. And this time, the target isn't scandal. It's strategy. Deep beneath the marble floors and gold-plated ceilings of Buckingham Palace, one principle has always ruled above all: survival. Not love, not loyalty, not forgiveness. Just survival. And right now, that cold instinct has a new face: Prince William. While King Charles quietly fights his private battle with illness, William has already taken control of the royal machine. His vision? Ruthless precision. He wants a monarchy that's leaner, cleaner, and untouchable by scandal. The days of emotional memoirs, family feuds, and Netflix tell-alls are over. To protect the crown, the noise must be silenced, permanently. And that's where Harry and Meghan come in, because in this new royal era, they're not just family anymore. They're examples. Their rebellion, once painted as modern and brave, has now become Exhibit A in how royal privilege can rot when mixed with Hollywood fame. Every dramatic confession, every authentic interview, every tearful headline turned royal duty into entertainment. And William has had enough. This isn't about revenge, no matter how much it looks like it. It's about brand protection. William's message to the world is clear. The monarchy isn't a soap opera, it's a corporation. And by stripping those titles, he's sending a warning that the royal name isn't an emotional inheritance anymore. It's a business built on discipline. And
I actually would go as far to say that Harry is a traitor because he betrayed his country. He betrayed one of the leading institutions of his country, the monarchy. He disgraced the monarchy. He disgraced his family.
in William's world, chaos doesn't get to wear a crown. The Sussexes broke the one unspoken royal rule: silence. And now that silence has turned on them like a weapon. Behind closed palace doors, aides have a name for what's unfolding: the Restoration. A quiet but ruthless reset of power, where bloodlines no longer outrank the brand, and family ties mean nothing compared to survival. Inside this new order, Meghan's luxury projects and Harry's endless televised confessions aren't just embarrassing scandals anymore. They're financial liabilities on a royal balance sheet. The palace isn't judging emotions, it's crunching numbers. And the numbers say Harry and Meghan are costing more than they're worth. The irony couldn't be sharper. The very titles Harry once dismissed as restrictive are now his only lifeline, the last golden thread connecting him to the world's most powerful family. Without them, he isn't a prince in exile. He's just another Hollywood figure fading under the spotlight, trying to stay relevant in a world that's already moved on. Meanwhile, the monarchy, stripped down to its essentials, is preparing to outlast yet another scandal. For them, this isn't just crisis management, it's evolution. But for Harry and Meghan, survival now means something much colder, becoming the cautionary tale that every future royal will be warned about. Because in William's new regime, even bloodlines can be audited. And across the Atlantic, where their empire once glittered, the glow of their freedom is already starting to fade. Hollywood, once dazzled by royal sparkle, now watches Harry and Meghan with quiet exhaustion. The couple who once promised authenticity have become walking symbols of performance fatigue.
But that is absolutely disgusting. They don't deserve to have any attention from the royal family. And the more that they go on and on about it, the harder we must be.
Too many interviews, too many tears, and too few truths left untold. Their Netflix docu-series shattered records, but so did the backlash. Critics slammed it as indulgent, self-pitying, and tone-deaf. a luxury complaint project disguised as vulnerability. Every confession felt polished, every tear perfectly timed. Even once sympathetic commentators began to sigh, whispering, "How long can you keep monetizing resentment?" The fatigue was real. In Washington, where the Sussexes once held political weight, the invitations have slowed to a crawl. Advocacy groups that once celebrated them as the face of a modern monarchy now quietly keep their distance, unwilling to be tied to what's starting to look like a brand in decline. But the real issue isn't their message, it's their mirror. Everything they accuse the royal institution of, privilege, image control, exploitation, has become their own business model. Meghan's latest glossy rebrand, reportedly centered on royal-inspired cosmetics and lifestyle products, only highlights the hypocrisy. How can you reject the monarchy while selling its image back to the public in gold packaging? It's no longer empowerment, it's opportunism with better lighting. And Harry isn't faring any better. His memoir, once praised as raw and courageous, now reads like a diary of privilege and guilt. What was meant to humanize him has started to expose something else. A man torn between resentment and entitlement, trapped in the spotlight he claims to hate. Each tell-all, each emotional interview chips away at what little sympathy he had left. The world's patience is running thin. And for the first time, Hollywood's most famous outsiders might finally be running out of audience applause. He was once the proud soldier prince, the fearless face of duty and dignity.
Because William, let me be clear, does not believe his father, the cancer-stricken king, has gone far enough. He thinks Andrew should not even be a prince. He certainly should not be in the United Kingdom. Exile is the only answer. But the problem is that requires an act of parliament. That act of parliament, I am told, William also intends to use to finally jettison the Sussexes.
But now, that same man has become known for something entirely different. Constant complaints. Harry is no longer defined by what he's fought for, but by who he's fighting against. And that's where the cruelest irony lies. In trying to escape the shadow of the monarchy, he's built a smaller one of his own. One not crowned in gold, but spotlighted in glare. This new kingdom burns hotter, fades faster, and leaves nothing behind but empty flashbulbs. Because the truth is, exile isn't freedom, not when you carry the palace wherever you go. For all the statements, the interviews, the glossy photo shoots, and PR-crafted moments, the harshest judgment hasn't come from the palace or parliament. It's come from the public. The very audience that once worshipped them has grown cold. Once upon a time, Harry and Meghan were symbols of change, the dazzling bridge between royalty and real life. People saw in them the promise of a modern monarchy, one that felt human, diverse, and refreshingly untouchable by old traditions. But that promise has collapsed under the weight of contradiction. Every speech about compassion comes wrapped in a brand deal. Every plea for privacy gets followed by another tell-all special. Even in Britain, where sympathy once shielded them, the tone has shifted. Street interviews tell the story clearly. They wanted freedom. They got it. Now what? Even their most loyal fans are tired. The sparkle's gone, the story's old, and what's left feels more like exhaustion than empowerment. The couple who once held the world's attention now face something no royal scandal ever could. Irrelevance. There's only so many times you can sell the same story before it stops sounding like truth and starts sounding like a business plan. What once felt raw and emotional has turned predictable, rehearsed, and painfully transparent. Across social media, their carefully curated image is collapsing in real time. The clips meant to inspire have become viral memes. The grand speeches about independence are now punchlines. Their dramatic brand of authenticity is being met not with applause, but quiet mockery. And here's the real twist. The couple who ran from royal judgment have ended up trapped in something far worse: the court of public opinion.
She's an incredibly unpleasant woman. The children don't need anything. They're little kids. They don't even know who their grandfather is, or either grandfathers actually. And they don't need how to be royal people. So let's leave it. Let them have their own life.
In this court, there are no courtiers to manage headlines, no palace walls to hide behind, just algorithms and audiences, and both are turning away fast. Harry, once celebrated as the bold prince of rebellion, now looks like a man fighting against irrelevance. Meghan, once admired for her charm and poise, now seems like a walking case study in overexposure. Together, they've built their own isolation, a glittering digital cage lined with their own contradictions. The proof is everywhere. Image without authenticity doesn't last. It collapses under its own spotlight. Fame can make you visible, but credibility is what makes people remember you. And for Harry and Meghan, that credibility seems to have quietly slipped out the back door. Maybe this was always how it was going to end. Not with a scandal, but with silence. Because the monarchy's most rebellious son is now learning the hardest royal lesson of all. Freedom without restraint isn't liberation. It's just another kind of prison, one built from cameras, contracts, and the echo of your own voice. Tonight, as the palace tightens its grip and Prince Harry races home to confront a future he thought he could outrun, this isn't just a royal scandal anymore. It's a warning. The same spotlight that once crowned him with adoration is now dissecting him under a microscope. Every move, every motive, every single word analyzed like evidence. And Meghan, the actress who once stole the royal stage, now finds herself trapped in a role no one believes anymore. The world's applause has faded, and the script that once read like a fairy tale now feels like a courtroom drama with no clear ending. Here's the cruelest twist of all. For all their talk of authenticity, the only thing the Sussexes ever made truly real was the fallout. Behind the glitz, the streaming deals, and the carefully lit photo shoots lies one brutal truth. Reputation isn't a right, it's a rhythm. Once you lose that rhythm, the world stops listening, and the silence hits louder than any headline. The palace might move to strip their titles, but let's be honest, the public has already stripped something far more valuable, their credibility, because in the end, power doesn't always disappear with a crown. Sometimes it fades away with silence, and silence is the cruelest punishment of all. And yet, that's what makes this entire story so chilling. If the royal family can erase its own blood to protect the throne, what else have they erased? What stories have we been told? And which ones were never meant to be heard at all? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the truth behind this royal reckoning isn't done unfolding yet. See you in the next one.